Bum, bam. But yeah, so we're gonna watch some horror movies. I went out and I was like doing research into like which ones are fucking public domain, which ones are okay to stream on Twitch, like we did before when we did movie night for Reefer Madness. So I went out and I picked two good ones because I was like, oh, should we watch some like shit movies? And I was like, no. Let's see if I can find some actual good ones. So I went out and there's House on Haunted Hill, which is a fucking classic from 1959. And it was like the movie that really like inspired a lot of the haunted house horror tropes. I'll get into that anyway because I'll be doing like a commentary while the movie's on. And then I thought obviously we'd go for the fucking Romero classic, Night of the Living Dead. Because look, everyone's seen it. Everyone's said everything that you can possibly say about that movie, but it's a classic. It's the quintessential horror movie. Just one of the all-time greats. So I even had my tribute T-shirt. And yeah, basically we'll do it kind of like a DVD commentary. I'm gonna watch it and I'll talk about some facts and stuff. But honestly, I'm gonna sit here. I got a bottle of bourbon and rum back there, which will probably get cracked at some point, and just chill and just it's Halloween. If you guys are doing nothing, come watch a fucking scary movie or scary movie, and I'll be able to chop this up and turn it into content for the Net Dicks YouTube channel as well. So and then maybe I might be going out later tonight, much later, might be going out to some midnight thing, so I'll probably be wrapping the stream up. It depends. Not really feeling it, honestly. I've been so busy and so tired, yeah, I'll be struggling, I think. So we'll definitely be having a few drinks, watching this, just relaxing. And then we have it. So I'm gonna have to try and sync the sound up and everything. But just before we get into it, the House on Haunted Hill, just tell you a little bit about it, because I think this for me is one of the movies that are well, okay, it may not be an important movie. It may not even be a good movie, but it's definitely an influential movie for a lot of reasons. So the first thing is that you got to know is that it's a William Castle movie. If you don't know who William Castle is, you should just go Google his name. There's a pretty extensive Wikipedia page. But basically, he was a guy dropped out of school when he was a kid, really young, 13 or something. Maybe 15, I don't know. But he basically quit and he went to go to Hollywood. Because he saw the Bela Lugosi's Dracula, the Universal picture, and he said, "Fuck it, I don't want to do anything else with my life. I want to just do the movies." So he's like an esports guy. He gets out there. He starts working officially on pictures at 23, and then what he did was he was involved in making pictures, directing pictures, but also marketing the pictures. And this guy was a marketing genius. He had so many kind of funny and quirky ideas to promote movies. So one of the things that he did was, for example, have you ever heard about the life insurance policies? Where if you go to watch a horror movie, it's so scared you might have a heart attack, so scary you might have a heart attack, you got to sign a life insurance policy on the way in. A few other people copied this, but this was William Castle's idea, and he did this thing for House on Haunted Hill in 1959, where he said it was filmed in a new kind of camera, a new kind of called Emergo. And obviously, it's a nonsense term. It was completely made up. There's no 3D elements to the movie. But what would happen is in the theaters in 1959, right at the end, there's a bit with a skeleton, and he would have a literal skeleton fly out and come down on a skyline with red blazing eyes, screaming. And it was it wasn't just a jump scare in the movie, because House on Haunted Hill has a ton of jump scares, but it was a literal jump scare in the theater with you, and obviously this made it a funny thing to go and take a friend to and all that, and it really helped with the marketing the film. He did another one same year, 1959. It's another movie we could watch because it's in the public domain. A lot of William Castle films kind of slip through the cracks. He did one called The Tingler, and it's about something that we've all got this parasite inside us that causes fear, and if we get too scared and we don't scream, it'll get so big it'll snap our backs, break our spines, and we'll die instantly. So what he would do is he would have electric shock chairs, where like things would like jolt out and like give you a little gentle shock in the middle of the movie, and it was like the Tingler. So William Castle was like a super fucking smart dude, and like never really got his due. Like as a personality, he died pretty poor. He had to remortgage his house on a film project he was working on right towards the end. He never really got the respect he deserved in life. And in terms of tributes to him, there was a 1993 movie called Matinee with John Goodman, where John Goodman is like loosely based on William Castle. They have a fucking thing called Mant, where it's about half man, half ant, and the guy dresses up and jumps out in the theater to scare people. But it was he was just a legend, and he inspired like a lot of filmmakers. Again, like if you go look at the Wikipedia page, there's like a list of tributes for him, like John Waters, who obviously a guerrilla filmmaker, makes what was it, Pink Flamingos and all that stuff. Crazy movies. He just said William Castle was God. That's his quote. And Robert Zemeckis, and he wanted to remake all of Castle's films. So, loads of like mainstream Hollywood people really like respected the work of Castle, but he's never anyone who's become like a mainstream figure. So anyway, House on Haunted Hill is just a great fucking movie. I think it's funny. It's got some little jump scares in there. It starts with screaming, so you definitely want to cover your ears for it. And yeah, fucking, I'm just gonna sit here and watch it and kind of talk about some of the stuff up. And yeah, the VOD will stay up. This is all legal. I've already checked it with Twitch. Public domain movies are fine to be streamed. It's not a copyright infringement or anything like that. Right then. Let's get into it, and let's end Spooktober with a bang. I'll have to let me know the sound levels as well, because I'll have to like manage the audio kind of manually, because some of these are like old prints and stuff. So. You were warned. I told you there was screams. This is live recording of when Trump got elected.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry. May I introduce myself? I'm Watson Pritchard. In just a minute, I'll show you the only really haunted house in the world. Since it was built a century ago, 7 people, including my brother, have been murdered in it. Since then, I've owned the house. I've only spent one night there, and when they found me in the morning, I was almost dead.
Here's your boy. The legend.
I'm Frederick Lauren, and I've rented the house on Haunted Hill tonight so that my wife can give a party. A haunted house party. She's so amusing. There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited. If any of you will spend the next 12 hours in this house, I'll give you each $10,000, or your next of kin in case you don't survive. Ah, but here come our other guests. It was my wife's idea to have our guests come in funeral cars. She's so amusing. Her sense of humor is, shall we say, original. I dreamed up the hearse. It's empty now, but after a night in the house on Haunted Hill, who knows? This is Lance Schroeder, a test pilot, so no doubt a brave man. But don't you think you can be much braver if you're paid for it? And I happen to know that Lance needs the $10,000 I'll give him, if he's brave enough to stay all night. This is Ruth Bridges. You've no doubt read her column in the newspapers. She says her reason for coming to the party is to write a feature article on ghosts. She's also desperate for money, gambles. You've already met Watson Pritchard, a man living in mortal fear of a house, and yet he is risking his life to spend another night here. I wonder why. He says for money. This is Dr. David Trent, a psychiatrist. He claims that my ghost will help his work on hysteria. But don't you see a little touch of greed there? Around the mouth and eyes? This is Nora Manning. I picked her from the thousands of people who work for me because she needed the $10,000 more than most. Supports her whole family. Isn't she pretty?
So, basically, if you've ever seen a haunted house movie where, you know, the premise is you get paid to stay in the haunted house, this is it. This is pretty much where it comes from. This is like one of the first movies to really embrace that trope and kind of run with it. And you can see here that what they're setting up is like this kind of ensemble cast, you know? Basically, of you know, a rogues gallery, right? Like we're not meant to like any of these people. We're meant to be highly suspicious of them, and it sort of gives you like this carte blanche to, like, you know, fuck with these guys within the context of the haunted house. So, and obviously Vincent Price is a narrator. You can't go wrong with that. Just got that fantastic voice. I'm not too sure about the soundtrack, but isn't that one of those things? Is it, what's it called, a theremin or something? You know, they always seem to be used like in horror soundtracks all the time.
Where is everybody?
It isn't a very warm welcome, is it?
Only the ghosts in this house are glad we're here.
Are we all strangers?
This guy's like immediately like just fucking weird and creepy, dude.
I'm afraid I don't even know your name.
I know.
Like, don't even
Lance
introduce
Schroeder.
yourself or anything. Just be
It's
like,
Frederick Lauren, a friend of yours.
yes, the
I've
ghost.
heard of him, but I've never met him.
I work for one of his companies, but I've never seen him.
I've never met the man either. Just a phone call. Do you know him?
No.
Then you're the only one of us who does.
I don't know him. All the details about renting the house were done by mail.
He's quite wealthy, isn't he?
Millions.
And 5 wives, I believe.
4, I think, so far.
A $50,000 party for only 5 people is a little steep, even for a millionaire.
Well, if I were going to haunt anybody, this would certainly be the house I'd do it in.
Who closed the door?
It's a haunted house, guys. I don't know if that was made
This thing's
Made
made of solid
clear.
steel.
Yeah, he just wanted to grab her there, I think. That's the fucking patriarchy, dude.
Annabelle. Our guests are here, unfortunately still alive. Is your face on yet?
Dust and dirt everywhere, and the water barely trickles. Couldn't you have had the place cleaned?
Atmosphere, darling. You know how ghosts are. They never tidy up. And that's a very fetching outfit, but hardly suitable for a party.
I'm not going to the party.
The spend-the-night ghost party was your idea, remember? Since it's going to cost me $50,000, I want you to have fun.
The party was my idea until you invited all the guests. Why all these strangers? Why none of our friends?
Friends? Do we have any friends?
No, your jealousy took care of that.
I had a reason for inviting each guest. I wanted kind of a cross-section. From psychiatrist to typist, and from drunk to jet pilot. They share one thing. They all need money. Now let's see if they're brave enough to earn it.
And you call this a party?
Could be.
Why do you always do that? It spoils the champagne.
It might explode.
Never does.
Would you guarantee that?
That isn't funny, Frederick.
Make a good headline. Playboy kills wife with champagne cork. Will you join me?
No, thank you.
Just a sip might improve your humor.
My humor is fine, thanks. And
So
I
you can
haven't
see they're in a
spoken.
pretty good relationship here.
It's always good to know that. Have some. You'll enjoy the party more. Go on.
Your trust is so touching. And I'm not going to the party,
Of all my wives, you're the least agreeable.
but still alive.
Would you go away for $1 million and tax-free? You want it all, don't you?
I deserve it all. Your jealousy isn't tax-free, and your possessiveness is maddening.
If ever a man had grounds for divorce,
But can't prove them.
the time will come. You'll slip up one of these days,
Think so?
if I live long enough. You remember the fun we had when you poisoned me?
Something you ate, the doctor said.
Yes, arsenic on the rocks. Annabelle, you'd do it again if you thought you could get away with it, wouldn't you?
Darling, what makes you think that?
Something about you.
Yeah, this
The
is
hanging is very
Whitney and Bobby
You should
Brown
give any
shit.
more ideas.
This is like all kinds
Don't
of
let
fucked
the
up,
ghosts
dude.
and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Darling, the only ghoul in the house is you.
And don't sit up all night thinking of ways to get rid of me. It makes wrinkles.
Yeah, put my parents' relationship in perspective. Casual knife. Fucking hell,
She
mate.
used on my brother and her sister. Hacked them to pieces. We found parts of the bodies all over the house. In places you wouldn't think. The funny thing is the heads have never been found. hands and feet and things like that. But no heads.
The wife, probably in a rage, threatened her husband with a knife and then, carried away by hysteria, took a swing at him and simply went on from there.
She certainly went on. How many people did she kill, Mr. Pritchard?
Only two. Her husband and her sister. No one else was here.
So there are two loose heads just floating around in here somewhere?
You can hear them at night. They whisper to each other and then cry.
Since our host isn't here, would anyone care to mix me a drink?
Certainly. What will you have?
Greetings.
I'm your host, Frederick Lauren. Since we're all strangers to each other, let's get acquainted with a drink, shall we?
Mr. Lauren, I advise you to call this party off now. The ghosts are already moving, and that's a bad sign.
Let me apologize for my wife. She'll join us later. What do you have,
Scotch and.
Doctor?
I'll have the same.
Now, before the party begins, let's go over the details. The caretakers will leave at midnight, locking us in here until they come back in the morning. Once the door is locked, there's no way out. The windows have bars that a jail would be proud of, and the only door to the outside locks like a vault. There's no electricity, no phone, no one within miles, so no way to call for help.
Like a coffin.
The thing I'd be most scared about is being locked in with that fucking
So if
guy.
any of
Fuck
you
the
decide
ghost.
not to stay for the party, you must let
I've only
me
been
know
there 10 minutes.
before
This
midnight.
cunt's waving a fucking knife
Of course,
around.
if you leave, I shan't be able to pay you anything.
I'm interested in your reasons for this, party. Aside from the pleasant company.
Ghosts, Doctor. I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost. And now my wife has given us all the opportunity to find out.
Amusing. Ghosts, etc., being only creations of hysteria, your party should be a success.
Well, Pritchard here promises us genuine ghosts.
7 now. Maybe more before morning.
That's cheerful.
4 men have been murdered in this house. And 3 women.
You planned your party very well, Mr. Lauren. 4 of us are men, 3 are women. A ghost for everybody.
Well, Pritchard, why don't you take us on a tour through the house and let's see what happens, huh?
See that stain? Blood. A young girl was killed here. And whatever got her wasn't human. Don't stand there.
What do you mean? Where?
It's too late. They've marked you.
Ridiculous. The roof probably leaks.
Oh, that must be what it is. Who would want to haunt me?
I would say any self-respecting male ghost.
I hope it doesn't come back.
Well, Mr. Pritchard, you're the life of the party.
He hasn't even started yet. Wasn't there a man who threw his wife into a wine vat or something?
That was in the cellar. There's been a murder almost every place in this house. All this belonged to a Mr. Norton, who didn't die here. He was electrocuted later. Mr. Norton did a good deal of experimenting with wines, but his wife didn't think it was any good. So he filled the vat with acid and threw her in. She was supposed to stay down.
Not a fan of
The
criticism.
bones came up. It's a funny thing, but none of the murders here were just ordinary. Just shooting or stabbing. They've all been sort of wild, violent, and different.
Look out!
God, she didn't fall in.
You mean there's still acid in there?
Yeah, probably should establish that for health and safety reasons, I think. That's acid, all right.
Destroys everything with hair and flesh. Just leaves the bones. My, it's dry and dusty down here.
Well, there's a cure for that upstairs. Come on.
How'd you get invited to this party? No. Oh, go on. I mean, what'd he tell you?
Nothing is as seductive as closing a door and standing in front of it so a woman can't leave. That's like
But
some
he didn't say
Harvey
anything about being
Weinstein
locked
shit.
in.
No.
He just made the deal with me on the phone, but nothing about having to stay.
Aren't you going to stay?
Now, I'm going to ask you a
If I don't, I
question.
lose 10
Do you
pounds.
mind if I just start to masturbate?
I'm going to stay too. $10,000.
Yeah. You believe in ghosts?
I don't know.
Well, I agree with what that doc says. You can spook yourself. I've done it in planes. Seen things that weren't really there. Or were they? What are you going to do with your 10,000? If we get it.
What do you mean if we get it? Won't he pay us if we stay?
Ah, sure he will. 10,000 is no more to him than a nickel is to us.
We were in an automobile accident. Now I'm the only one in the family who can make any money.
Boy, I've never seen so many doors. Closet. Bottles.
Jump scares?
Does it go anywhere? Lance! Lance!
It's Hillary! I'd still like to be president. No! No!
Please! Lance is gone, and there's a ghost.
See what I mean?
Please, come on!
Did she say Lance is gone? Gone where?
We'll have to break it down. It's locked.
Lock. You all right? Nothing that money won't cure. I must have bumped my head.
The only way you could bump your head in here is to run head on into the wall. You didn't do that, did you? Let's get a bandage on that.
If I wonder why they didn't kill him. He didn't bump his head. They hit him.
They?
Like, no one is phased at all. I will say this. Like, this is already enough for me to get a little bit spooked. You've had blood on the hand. You've seen Hillary Clinton. Someone's been knocked unconscious.
Nora,
Like, this is already fucked up, guys.
when you came in, you said something
And look, they're all
about
just
a
so
ghost.
rational about it.
There was something.
What did it look like?
Well, it was wearing a black thing that went all the way to the floor.
Weren't you a little frightened at the time?
Well, yes.
That, Mr. Loren, is hysteria.
But then, Doctor, how do you explain what happened to Lance? Was that hysteria, too?
You better get that checked in a day or so.
Thanks, Doc.
Couldn't answer that one with your science, could you, Doctor? He's back on the gear.
The ghosts are coming closer, Mr. Loren.
You really believe in your pet ghost, don't you, Pritchard?
Before the night's over, you will, too.
Would you like a drink, Lance?
No, thanks.
I'd like one. Scotch and. Mr. Loren, are you really going to pay anyone who stays all night?
Certainly. $10,000.
Will there be much red tape or delay?
In a hurry, dear?
Frankly, yes. Or frantically.
There you are, my dear.
Someone or something was in here when I came in. But where? And if the door was locked, how did it get out? What you saw might have been a ghost, Nora, but what was in here with me was no ghost.
I don't know. I was so scared.
Sound different to you?
Just a fucking bit. This guy's a fucking jet pilot, by the way.
3, 6, 9, 12. 12 feet. Three, 6. Now, I'm going to knock on the other wall. When you hear me, you knock on this wall. Tap lower down. Where'd it come from?
From in here.
What if it ran out of here? I'd have seen it.
Lance, it doesn't run. It just floats.
Yeah, but why didn't I see it?
You don't believe me.
I mean,
Can
it's
I?
reasonable to not believe you at this point, I think. Fucking hell. As if that's what you get upset about, not the fact that you've just seen a fucking ghost twice as well.
I'm Annabelle Loren.
I'm Chelsea. Pleased to meet you.
You must be Miss Manning.
I too will
I
run
realize
for president
it's a
one
very
day.
unusual and I'm afraid very dull party. Wouldn't you like to freshen up? This is your room. Depressing, isn't it?
I doubt if I'll spend much time here.
It's going to rain. Perfect atmosphere for my husband's party. Why did you come here?
He said he'd give me $10,000.
Why did he pick you?
I don't know. My supervisor just came and said I'd been invited.
How long have you known my husband?
I just met him tonight.
So? Why you? What were you doing wandering around by yourself?
Well, I was in the cellar with Lance, Mr. Schroeder, and I just left, that's all.
Don't do it again. Don't go anywhere in this house by yourself. Now fix your face and I'll come by for you in a few minutes.
But
You're in danger. We all are.
But who?
I hope for your sake you never find out.
All right.
I'm Annabelle Lauren. Were you looking for something?
Not exactly.
Are you the doctor?
No, I'm Lance Schroeder.
The pilot. You've hurt yourself.
Oh, it's just a bump on the head. Which is my room?
I believe this is it.
Thank you, Mrs. Lauren.
Annabelle Lance. You were with the young girl in the cellar. Why was she so upset?
Was she?
And you don't look like the type to go around bumping his head. What really happened, Lance?
Well, Nora thought she saw a ghost, but I didn't see anything.
She was just frightened then.
And mad at me, I think. I kidded her about it.
I wouldn't joke about anything else that happens here tonight.
Now, don't tell me you're taking all this seriously.
Aren't you?
Well, I'd like to find out what hit me.
Lance. If I need help, may I count on you?
Yeah, sure, I guess so. Look, what's going on here
These
anyway?
flyboys, dude.
What is with this party bit?
This is no party. He's planning something.
Your husband?
I wish I knew what it was.
Must be pretty big if he's going to lay out 50,000.
The money doesn't mean anything. He has a reason for getting us all up here to this dreadful old house.
Well, what for? He doesn't even know us.
Maybe that's exactly why you're here.
Well, what can he get away with?
Oh, he thinks that big money like his can get away with anything. You know, of course, that I'm his fourth wife. The first simply disappeared. The other two died. Lance, I don't want to join them.
You mean he,
Oh, his doctor said they died of heart attacks. 2 girls in their 20s.
Well, what can he do?
My husband is sometimes insane with jealousy. Nothing matters to him then. Please be careful.
Would he hurt you?
He would kill me if he could.
Annabelle, you're missing all the fun. Nora Manning was almost killed by a falling chandelier. The pilot bashed his head in.
Is he badly hurt?
The Saturnine psychiatrist bandaged him up. Don't you want to go and console him, as you do most men? in your
Oh, he's got
fashion?
your number.
You're so clever, Frederick.
So I lie awake nights wondering why I married you. Was rather a mistake.
You didn't marry me, dear. I married you. Unpleasant, but no mistake.
Hurry up.
Frederick, for the last time, I'm not going to your party.
And for the last time, it's not my party, but yours. And you are going.
I am not.
You ready, dear?
No.
Are you ready, dear?
Yes, damn you.
Would you adore me as much if I were poor? No. All you want to be is a lovely widow. It's almost time to lock up the house. And then your party will really begin. I wonder how it'll end. Close to midnight, Lance.
Okay. I'll be down in a minute.
Who is it?
Your host, my dear. It's almost midnight, Nora. We're all going to get together down in the living room.
All right, Mr. Lloyd. I'll be right down.
Like, you definitely tap out if you find a severed head in your room, dude. 100% tap out, dude. Oh, no.
Come with us. Come with us before he kills you.
Where's Nora?
Yeah,
Who's Manning?
that was the housekeeper, if I remember rightly. He's pretty fucking ugly.
I don't want to stay here.
The fucking
No,
go.
what happened?
I see you've met the Clintons.
That's Jonas Slides and his wife. They've been caretakers here for years. She's blind, you know.
I'm not going to stay here.
Well, Doctor, it looks like we have a real case of hysteria on our hands.
I think she's just a little upset, not hysterical.
Good evening.
Hello, my dear. This is my wife. These are our guests. Ruth Bridges, Dr. Trent. You know Watson Pritchard, of course. Nora Manning, and this is Lance Schroeder.
Can you two just fuck off? Can you two weird cunts just leave, please? Fucking hell. Why are they just stood there?
May I have your attention, please? I think you all remember the bargain we made about staying all night. $10,000 apiece. If any of you don't survive, $50,000 will be divided amongst the rest of you. If I should die, you will be paid by my estate. When the door is locked from the outside by the caretakers, we'll all be forced to stay in this house until morning. If any of you decide not to stay, you must leave with the caretakers now. You won't have a chance to change your minds later, because there'll be no way to get out.
I don't want to stay.
Wait. midnight yet. Who told them they could leave?
They never leave before midnight.
Well, they've gone now. I was going to ask you whether you wanted to stay or not, but it seems that the caretakers have made the decision for you. We're all locked in now.
But I don't want to stay.
Well,
I'm sorry, my dear, but it's too late now.
Darling, haven't you had enough of the silly game? Get some cars up here for these people and let them go home. But pay them first.
This is your party, remember? In spite of my wife's faith in my ability to do the impossible, we will all have to stay in this house until 8 o'clock in the morning. But we have some party favors for you in these little coffins. This is my wife's idea. I must say, I think it's rather dangerous. I suppose you all know how to use one of these.
Bring
things.
out
In
the
case
guns.
You don't. You just press down on this lever with your thumb and then pull the trigger. You see, they're loaded.
These are no good against the dead, only the living.
Doctor?
he's the last person who needs a gun, by the way.
Nora?
Go ahead, take it.
Miss Bridges? And here's yours, dear.
I don't need it.
It was your idea. Who knows, you may want to use it on me before this night is over.
Throw these guns away. They won't do you any good.
I agree with Pritchard on that point, although not for the same reason.
Dr. Trent, don't you approve of our
Trigger
party
discipline.
practice?
Suppose Nora had had a gun when she mistook the blind woman for a ghost.
I don't think anyone else is going to walk around in total darkness.
Oh, I'm sure we're not going to go running around the house
Stop
shooting
fucking
each other.
pointing
aren't
that thing at people, dude.
Who knows? Fear makes people do amazing things.
Mr. Pritchard, you said your sister-in-law killed a man and a woman here and cut them up? You said they found hands and feet, but they never found any heads. Would you like to see one of those heads? Would you all like to see one of those heads? Well then, just follow me.
Bring guns.
Darling, I really don't need this.
Just go look in my suitcase. Just go look.
This guy's so drunk, I'm amazed he didn't ask which one.
But it was in there. A woman's head.
Nora, I think you're a little upset. Would you care for a sedative?
Get out! Get out! All of you get out of here and leave me alone! Just get out!
Nora, is this one of these woman's moments that I've heard so much about in medical school?
You think it's all right to leave her by herself?
Perhaps you would care for a
wish you'd
sedative,
taken the sedative.
you crazy emotional
Suppose
woman.
What you saw.
They're closing in on her.
Oh,
Look,
fuck
Doc, I
it.
think somebody ought to stay with her.
There could be a million people around her. But if they wanted her, they'd get her.
What if he's right?
He's too drunk to know what he's talking about.
I wonder. I'll join you in a minute.
Do you think it would do any good if you went in and talked to her?
Well, do you think there really was a head in her suitcase?
I don't know.
A thing like that would put me right over the edge.
But would you sort of stay up here, I mean, in case she needs help?
All right. I'll be in my room. Just call it.
Thanks.
Are you sure there are only 7 people in this house?
Positive, except for the ghosts.
I don't believe in ghosts, nor in frightening women. In Nora's case, it's gone far enough.
I respect
Perhaps
women.
What do you suggest we do about it, Doctor?
Don't frighten her anymore.
Understand? Now I'm off to pour myself a nice glass of soy milk.
Nora? Nora?
Nora, I was just reading about this thing called premenstrual tension,
Nora?
and I want to explain it to you. He's just picking up the heads.
Nora! Nora! What do you know about this?
They've taken her. In a little while, she'll be one of them.
Where's Nora? Where is she?
It's too late. It's too late. You'll never find her again.
Pritchard, if you know where she is, you better tell me now.
She's gone. She's gone with them. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Ooh.
Nora.
She's had enough.
Let her down.
I mean, you guys are really fucking slow to react to this, by the way. Yes, yes, let's take her down slowly. There's a chance she might yet live.
Nora?
She's dead, Mr. Lauren. Your wife hanged herself.
Suicide.
Nora,
Please hide me. Please hide me.
what's the matter?
Hide me.
All right, let's hide in your room.
He tried to kill me. He grabbed me and choked me and put me in that room. And then he went away and left me.
Who?
He thought I was dead.
Who?
Mr. Lord.
Are you sure about this?
I don't know. It was dark, but it must have been him.
Has anybody seen you since he left you?
I heard some people in that room, but I went by and nobody saw me.
Mrs. Lauren is dead.
But how?
Lauren said she committed suicide, but I think somebody killed her.
Him.
Her last words were that she had evidence that could lead to the indictment and arrest of Hillary Clinton. Then she hanged herself. She hanged herself twice to the back of the head.
I'm sure you've come to the same conclusion I have.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's all have a meeting, discuss what to do. The living room?
Okay, in a minute. I've got to go downstairs. Now, you lock yourself in here and don't let anybody know you're here. If he thinks you're dead, he won't come here. And I'll get back as soon as I can. You'll be all right. And if you have to, you use it. So beautiful. So greedy. So cold. What are you doing in here? Wait. Don't wait. What do you mean coming in here?
What do you mean, DreamHack 2015?
Drunk.
They will if you don't watch her.
You're drunk. All right, out with it, Bridget. Why did you come into this room?
I'm the only one who understands.
Understands what?
Your wife isn't there anymore. She's already joined them.
Bridget, I've had enough of your spook talk. Get out, you sot, and don't come back into this room again.
Where's what's-her-name? Nora.
I didn't disturb her since I don't think this concerns her.
No, you're right.
Mr. Loren, isn't there some way we can get out of this house now?
No, none at all.
We could try breaking out.
The only door to the outside is made of steel. The bars of the windows are set in solid stone. We gotta stay.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget. But I am afraid. When we came here a few hours ago, the only thing we had in common was the $10,000 we'd get. Now, however, we share something else. The death of Mrs. Loren. So far tonight, one of us was almost killed by a falling chandelier. One of us was mysteriously slugged. One of us has been driven to the brink of absolute hysteria, and one of us is dead. Were these accidents? Suicide? And we must stay here for 6 more hours.
6 hours? 6 of us. Time enough.
Who'll be next? How will it happen?
Let me ask you a question, Doctor. You were the first one to see my wife there. Did you also see anything that she could have climbed up on and then jumped?
No.
Did any of you? There was nothing. How then did she get up there so high?
Exactly, Mr. Loren. How? She couldn't have pulled herself up there. She couldn't have dropped from the ceiling. Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Or you, Mr. Loren. To deliberately kill someone, you must have a reason.
We were all strangers to your wife. Only you had a motive for murder.
What husband hasn't at some time wanted to kill his wife? What husband hasn't had 1,000 opportunities to do it in such a way so that he'd never be suspected? I'm not such a fool as to hang my wife from a ceiling by a rope.
The fact remains that you, or one of us, murdered Mrs. Loren. And that's a matter for the police.
So how do we get the police?
That's my point. We can't until morning. What began as a silly party given by an eccentric has now involved us all in murder.
For once, Pritchard may be right. If another murder's in the works, let's stop it now.
Another murder?
Why not? Maybe one of us saw too much.
Why should even a millionaire want to give each of us $10,000 to spend one night in a gloomy old house? To see some ghosts, have a party? No.
Have you finished trying me, Doctor? And is the verdict guilty of murder?
Oh, this isn't getting us anywhere. Somebody killed Mrs. Loren. We know that. One of us is guilty and the rest of us are innocent. Okay. Now, what we have to do for the next 6 hours is protect ourselves from each other.
Do you really think?
I don't think anything. I just know that I'm going to my room. And if anybody comes in, I'll shoot him. Or her.
And if we all stay in our rooms, we'll be safe. Because the innocent will have no reason to leave his room. And the guilty will admit his guilt if he or she does.
And we all have guns.
And we're all agreed?
The Second Amendment
This
works.
night were over. Rooms? Guns? I tell you, it doesn't make any difference. They aren't through with us yet.
Someone double tap Pritchard, please.
What's the use of saying goodnight? Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Locked and loaded, motherfuckers. I'm gonna sit like this for 6 hours. Seems reasonable. That was like me every time we were taping stuff for E-League based around the FGC. You've been done there, mate. Flaming bag of dog shit outside.
Nora, it's me, Lance.
Remember what we said about staying in the rooms and only the killer would want to leave his room? I've just left my room to come and be in your room.
Lance, I've been thinking. It was so dark down there. Maybe it wasn't Mr. Lorne.
It was him, all right. He tried to kill you, and he did kill his wife.
How can you be so sure?
She tried to warn me, asked me to help her. The doc thinks he's going to try and kill one of us. Now, there must be a way out of this place, and I'm going to find it and get the police before he does.
I'm going with you.
What if he finds out you're alive? No, Nora. You're safer here than any place else. Now just lock yourself in and keep quiet. If I find a way out, I'll come back and get you.
Just enjoy this creepy storm in a haunted house alone. And that's how Lance became the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. Yo, shit just got real. That was the pilot episode of MTV's unsuccessful prank show, Roped. Ashton Kutcher was signed on for it, but it just never came about, you know. I just have a slow scan of the room. Hey, what are you doing out your room, Doctor? You said only the guilty would need to leave. What you up to, homie?
An admission of guilt, Doctor?
Certainly not. There's either somebody else in this house or one of us has left his room. Did you hear anything?
Organ music?
That, and someone walking.
You got yours? Ready?
You look downstairs, and I'll look up here.
Why not together?
There may be only minutes, seconds left of someone's life. Why waste time?
The old switcheroo.
It's almost over, darling. Every detail was perfect.
Yo.
What's happening?
We've done it. A perfect crime. Beautiful.
Has she killed him?
Not yet, but she will.
Eat your heart out, M. Night Shyamalan.
Get me out of this hanging harness. What's taking that girl so long? What time is it?
At first, I couldn't get Nora to want to protect herself with a gun. But after you appeared at the window, everything began to work just as we had planned. You were wonderful. Just the touch that finally drove her into complete hysteria.
It'll be worth all of our planning, darling. Where's Nora now? What's happening?
On her way to the cellar. So scared she'll shoot the first thing that moves.
And Frederick?
On his way to the cellar, too.
David, are you sure none of them will suspect us?
Of what? An hysterical girl accidentally shoots somebody? Who would suspect that we planned it that way, that we drove her to it?
What about my suicide?
But just a ghost party gag. We'll claim it was a dummy since I'm the only one who touched you.
And the caretakers?
Well, they had no idea what they were really doing.
What about Nora? She's not stupid, you know.
Darling, believe me, everything we've planned is working perfectly. Nora is sure Frederick murdered you. She thinks Frederick attacked her in the cellar, not me. And now Nora's almost out of her mind with fear. The heads, the music, you're hanging. I tell you, when Frederick walks in there, she'll shoot him.
It's taking too long. David, you ought to be there.
The old 50s face press for kissing. Big fan of face pressing.
When you hear the shot.
It's like watching fucking Ted Cruz try and have a human interaction. Let us press faces, humanoid. Yeah, I saw Ted Cruz's tweet about the fucking Zodiac killer. Loads of people immediately triggered to fuck, of course. How dare you joke about the thing everyone else has joked about? This is highly inappropriate from you, the subject of the joke. Everyone needs to grow the fuck up. Didn't fucking hesitate. stone cold. And then a quick re. Stitch that, you cunt. He's had a chunder.
David? David?
But wait. I'm not in control of this. This is where Alex Jones comes in. We're coming for you, globalists!
At last you've got it all. Everything I have. Even my life. But you're not going to live to enjoy it. Come with me, murderess. Come with me.
Yes, yes. Walk towards the acid, yes. The Puppet Master.
Good night, Doctor. Good night, Annabelle. The crime you two planned was indeed perfect. Only the victim is alive and the murderers are not.
4D chess,
Pity you didn't know when
motherfuckers.
you started your game of murder that I was playing too.
There must be some way to get in here.
It's right along here somewhere.
Lance! I've shot Mr. Loren. He's down in the wine cellar.
Alive?
I don't think so. It's him. He's alive.
Sure am, baby.
You didn't shoot anyone, my dear. I loaded your gun with blanks. I can tell you all now. Trent and my wife were planning to kill me. They failed. Trent tried to throw me in the vat. My wife stumbled and fell. I'm ready for justice to decide if I'm innocent or guilty.
Now there are 9. There'll be more, many more.
That's right, Pritchard.
They're coming for me now. And then they'll come for you.
See, back then, they knew how to end horror movies. And look at that, Skeleton, played by himself. They actually credit the skeleton.